We're also now joined by the
reading.
We're also now joined by the driver of the number 18 M&M's Caramel Toyota, Kyle Busch. Kyle, we're going to start off with a question from the press box for you. I'm going to read it to you due to some technical difficulties up there. This is from Matthew Meyer from CBS Sports. Kyle, with this win, you tie Tony Stewart for 13th on the all-time Cup Series wins list with 49. Next up are Hall of Famers Ned Jarrett and Junior Johnson. Where do you see yourself on this list by the time your driving career is over?
The top. It's pretty simple. Good job. As far as where we're at right now, though, I mean, Tony's a great friend of mine, and really one of the guys that I kind of looked up to. I did coming up through, and right over your head. And
I got it. I'm just old, not stupid.
Okay. That's a pretty good one. I should quote that one. But Tony was, great teammate, great friend, and still is. So, it's pretty cool to tie him, and certainly means a lot to keep kind of climbing the ladder and getting to the next bunch of guys, and eclipsing that 50 is going to be pretty special. So, there's no stop in Adam or myself or Joe or Toyota or M&M's or none of us. So we want to be able to go out there and continue on and keep this pattern going for years to come.
All right, we're going to go to Zach, Jerry, and then Kyle.
Zach Sterniolo, Pocono record. For both Adam and Kyle, this track has been tough for you guys to close the deal. Really, I know, Kyle, for you, your whole career. Now you win 2 of the last 3 races here at Pocono, and Kyle, you end up sweeping the weekend. Have you guys figured out something about this place, or is it just a matter of finally executing 100% and closing it all out?
You want to start?
Yeah. For me, we've been here, this is our 4th year, I guess. We've been fast, arguably fast enough to win every single time. And that's because we have good cars and good equipment and strong engines. Yeah. And Kyle knows how to get around this place. And his feedback is such that if you give him what he's looking for, you're going to be fast. The reason why you don't win them all is because this is a really difficult place to win with the pit strategy and not losing a lap if you're within the gap. And now the segments, and it's just too easy when you're running 4th or 5th to do the opposite of the leader and put him in a bad spot. So, I expect to come up here and be competitive again next year. I have no idea if we'll be in a spot to win a race for all of those reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I think to Adam's point, too, is just, when you get here and you kind of get a feel for what you think is right and you try to find that over again. Like this weekend, we were trying to find what we had last year, and it just was not working for me. I could not figure it out. So we just kept fighting along and making changes to the car and trying to find that feel. What's crazy is the setup was not that far off of what we ran here last year, but we just had to change so many things to get it to where it felt like it did last year. So something was different. And we know the tires were a little bit different, but overall just there was some other things that we couldn't quite pinpoint. But as the race went on, we just kept doing it and working on it and making it better and better each time.
We'll go to Jerry, Kyle, and then Dominic.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires.net and Performance Racing Network. Kyle, there at the end, the 3 JGR cars turned into one. I asked Daniel, I said, were you thinking about kind of bumping him a little bit? And he said, if I could have got to him, were you worried about any of that?
I was. Just that is so far on tires to then have to sit there and restart on, So I was just nervous for that fact that we were all going to race down into turn 1 and not really know what grip level we all had, and just bombs going off everywhere and figuring out where we were all going to land at the end of it. So, fortunately they're very, very talented young drivers with the 20 and the 19, Eric and Daniel both. And humbly, I kind of feel bad. I was the guy that was in front of Daniel when he finished second. He could have won, he was right there with us all day long. He trailed us that whole run, and I couldn't shake him. I couldn't get away from him, and I was trying. But he was right there that whole time, and he stayed in front of Chase. Like he was good. So selfishly, though, I'll admit that I'm glad that we scored the victory, and it's for the 18 team, and we can continue to work on our championship drive and what we want to do and making it through the playoffs with bonus points and such. But, with Daniel and those guys, they had an awesome run, and they should be proud of that.
Go to Kyle.
Kyle Magda from the Times Leader. This is for Kyle. It's been 15 years to the weekend you made your first start here. Can you recall your first race here at Pocono? And I think also your ARCA pole speed was faster than the Cup's pole speed that weekend as well.
Yeah, I think it was. That's back when ARCA cars were faster than Cup cars. I remember, I don't remember where I qualified, but I remember I finished third. Just a good, solid day, being able to race in the 5-car and just kind of salvaged what I thought was a pretty good first run here. Denny was obviously really, really good when he got here. I think the following season, I think he swept both races. But for myself, just the next race we came here, and same thing as we fought today. Like I had no feel, couldn't figure anything out. Ended up blowing a rear brake rotor and was in the turn 1 wall. So, those things can certainly change on you in a hurry when you don't have exactly what you think that you need to be good here.
Before we continue on, are there any final questions for Adam so we can let him continue with his media obligations? We'll wrap up with Adam with Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Adam, did you like the schedule yesterday, and are you good with teching everybody after qualifying?
Yeah. Honestly, anything that keeps us home an extra day is good for me. I have a family, and most of us do, and if we can spend some extra time with them, it takes a little stress off the year. Yeah, I really liked it. It takes a little bit of getting used to. You're into your routines, and I probably had a little bit of a foggy head all weekend, just not knowing what was next and not being prepared as maybe I could have been. But, we do this a couple more times, and it'll be old hat to everybody. I think it's the right way to go.
Do you think there won't be 13 cars failing?
Oh, sure. Like I said, our issue was completely avoidable. It was an oversight. I don't know what all the other issues were. But the more we do it, the better everybody will get at it. It's a little surprising that we went from 2 to 13 failures, but, that's part of it. But I don't think that's a reason not to do it by any means.
All right, Adam, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll continue on with questions for Kyle and Coach.
Yes, sir.
We'll go to Dominic and then Kelly.
Dominic Ottagon with the Racing Experts and ESPN Radio Albuquerque. For Kyle, you kind of touched on it a little bit with tying Tony Stewart on the all-time wins list, but also this year you've tied and passed Bill Elliott, Buck Baker, and Herb Thomas, all past champions of the sport. Just get your comment on that as well.
Anytime you're able to continue to win races in this series, it's obviously just that extra step, and you keep continuing to climb the ladder. And there's a lot of great names that I've passed already, and that I've tied today with Tony, and that I very much look up to that are higher, and look to one day be able to accomplish all of them. But as far as how many can you get, I don't know. I'd like to think that everything's achievable, but we just got to keep working at it and keep doing what we can do. I don't think I can drive that long to get to 200. I better start winning at 10 in a row, 10 in a year, in order to get there quicker. But overall, it's been fun, and there's a lot of great respect to those that have been there and won that many races and have been legends of our sport. Many of them Hall of Famers that I can continue to excel on.
We'll go to Kelly, Christian, and then Zach.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Kyle, earlier this weekend, Denny kind of praised you and the team, saying that you guys are able to consistently out-execute and outperform sometimes what the car is capable of. Is there a way to explain how that happens? Because I think arguably today you didn't have the best car, but there you are again, steadily moving up and winning.
Yeah, I can't pinpoint it. Honestly, that normally in our team meetings, one of us or all of us are kind of vocal when we have our meetings here at the racetrack on a given weekend after practices. And yesterday's Daniel was kind of quiet, and so we were all kind of like, "What's he doing?" Like he's didn't want to show his hand, and we knew he. So then we were like, "Hey, you're kind of quiet. Does that mean you're pretty good?" And he sat on the pole. So it's kind of like, "Oh, all right. Well, 19 feels good about what he's got going on." So playing a little possum, if you will. So that was cool to see that he was good, though. So he knew that he was getting the most out of what he had here this weekend, and I feel like we can a lot of times get the most out of our cars or out excel what we feel like our cars are capable of, which is really, really good when you can do that. You're not going to be able to do it all the time. There's certainly competitors and the competition like Hendrick or 42 or some of the Penske guys and whoever that are going to get better over time, and it's going to be harder and harder to outperform them on a given day because they're going to get closer to us.
Go to Christian and then Zach.
Christian Cooley, frontstretch.com and the Motorsports News Source. Kyle, the last 2 days you've gotten a battle with former drivers that you've been the owner of. How does it feel to see people that you basically have watched grow up and you've pulled into and just basically mentored them, and then you get to race against them on Sunday?
It's going to suck when they beat me. I don't know. It's have I done a good job?
Pretty good job, I would say.
I'm running myself out of a job is what I'm doing. So, one of these days they're going to have it all put together, and they're going to be able to outshine me and beat me, which is fine, I guess. It's just a matter of time before they continue to do that, and it's really cool to see Jones. Suarez finished second, but Jones ran fifth, right?
Yeah.
He got passed by a couple there on that restart. I think him and the 19 were racing real hard, but he's been really consistent the last couple months, and that's very important when it comes down to him getting his win at Daytona and now being able to get in the playoffs. And if the playoffs started right now with the consistency he's got, he's doing pretty good. So that's really cool to see from those guys. So obviously it's a team effort. We all work together as much as we can to keep excelling all of us and bringing all of us to the forefront.
We'll go to Zach and then John.
Zach Sturniolo, Pocono record. Kyle, starting 28th, you, Harvick, everyone that obviously had their times as allowed had to charge through the field there. How dicey was that at the start, and were you ever concerned at some point that you wouldn't be able to get where you needed to feel comfortable?
There were a couple times that were tense moments, but nothing too out of the ordinary. A couple lap cars. You're going down Long Pond, and you kind of shallow to the inside a little bit to kind of show them that you're looking, and then they go off into the corner. Instead of letting you go off into the corner, you're side by side with them right in the middle of turn 2, and it's like, man, not only are you costing yourself time, but you're costing me time. So it's just tense moments when you get stuff like that happening. But overall, just for us, it was okay coming through. Harvick obviously was really, really fast and got through there a lot faster than I did. Just him being able to turn better and be faster there the first stint. I feel like we worked on our car and got it better and got it closer. But still, when we restarted, he was on the outside and I was behind him, and we cleared those guys when we were 1-2. He was driving away from me, so they're pretty fast.
John Smallwood, Philadelphia Inquirer. Kyle, you did the trifecta in Bristol in 2010 and 2017, and now you've done it here at Pocono.
I kind of did do it here at Pocono. Yeah, you're right.
So
should I make a
something
shirt
like that special?
I'll make a shirt. Then it'll be special. It is. I actually I thought about that earlier, and then I forgot until you said something. But yeah, we won the Xfinity race here too this year. So we won Truck, Xfinity, and a Cup race here. So that's pretty neat. And I guess we just missed one winning the Cup race here in the spring. But overall, it's feels really good. And I've strived to get better at each and every racetrack, and you try to do that every year. And things change, setups change, cars change, aerodynamics change, tires change, all kinds of things. And just with all that stuff, you got to keep ahead of it and keep on top of it and try to make sure that you're giving everything you got to your team and making sure that you've got the stuff to get it done.
Do we have any final questions for Coach or Kyle? We'll wrap up with Zach and Jerry.
I think Truex only finished 15th today. Was there any focus on where he or the 4 were running throughout the day? Obviously, I know you came up through the field with the 4.
No. When we were second to the 4 and we weren't going to catch him, so he was going to get the stage win. So we knew that we kind of had to get off strategy from them if we were going to have a shot to beat them. And that's what we did. They wanted the stage point. We wanted the win. So we pitted, and then we were able to get out in front of them when the cycle went through when they came to pit road under yellow, and then we were able to be up front the rest of the day. I think they also had trouble on pit road. I think Adam told me that they had got caught up in something with some damage or whatever, but obviously they still had plenty of speed because they came up through the field and finished 4th. So overall, that was a really, really good recovery for them. I don't know if we could have recovered that well, so that's why we got to go to work and continue to try to get better.
Take our final question from Jerry.
You mentioned the Xfinity race, and then your tweet a while ago made me think of this. The trophies. Do you have an expanded room now? We've talked about this before, but what are you doing with everything that you're racking up here?
I build trophy cases to then house trophies, and I get more, and I don't have any more room. I do have a trophy case problem. I ask for bonuses in my contract so that I can make new trophy cases. So I'm behind right now. There's a lot of them that are in people's rooms at KBM or offices, and they're on the floor, and they're on desktops and whatever. So luckily, my lady that I have, my assistant girl, she keeps track of where everything's at and where they're at and stuff. So we got a whole list running right now. It's pretty good.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I work for him. So let's get that off the. I did fail to mention one thing when we talked about all of our cars being up and everybody back home. As hard as they work, I mentioned JD and JD's situation right now. Everybody here, I just wanted to say Coy is taking that role and also oversees our motocross, but he came over to our side. It's total team and total family. And so I appreciate those guys so much and all the hard work behind the scenes. Everybody there at the really in a day like today where everything goes well and you run up front, you just realize how fortunate they are to have people like that. Many of them been there 20, 25 years. So it's a thrill for me to be a part of the team and certainly our family. It's a huge deal for Coy, myself, and JD.
It's a good thing I befriended Coy when I was 16. He's got my back. So it's pretty good to have.
Actually, Coy, I got to tell a story. Coy was running trucks at the time. And so I forgot where we were.
It was California when they booted me.
Well, so I called him, and I said, how you doing? He goes, I'm doing pretty good. He said, yeah, I feel pretty good. But he said, there's a kid here that showed up, and he's 3/10 faster than the field. And he goes, but he's only 16. I hope they kick him out. And they did. It was him.
Yeah, that happened.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you for
All right.
joining us.
Good
Congratulations.
story, Joe. Thanks. Way to break it up.
We end that.
Huh?